So I'm here in Adelaide, Australia with Peter, Master of Wine. And Peter has arranged for us to have a tour with the International Ambassador of Penfold exclusive tour. This is something rare unto itself. And Peter, how did you make that arrangement?
Through relationships, and really wanting to show you the greatest wine in Australia.
A Master of Wine. He is going to be taking us on more than one, but Penfold is the beginning. He's the start. Where else are we going to be visiting, Peter, on our trip?
We're going to the Adelaide Hills, we're going to McLaren Vale, and we're going to the Barossa Valley, which of course is the home of grain.
So you are going to be experiencing a wine tour like no other with a Master of Wine who has dedicated his life to the knowledge and experience of wine. So let's go on this tour together, experience Penfold and many other experiences in the Adelaide area and with the Barossa Valley.
And 5 days.
All you wine enthusiasts, it's going to be an experience like no other.
And don't forget the drink up.
We are at McGill Estate, which is the spiritual home of Penfolds. This is where our story began in 1844. Mary Penfold herself trained a young man by the name of Albert Vesey, who joined the business in the 1880 on the craft of blending wines. And she was known as a master blender herself and was able to consistently blend wines to style, which she passed on to Alf. Alf ended up doing 69 vintages working for Penfolds. The old McGill Estate Winery, they started construction on this in the 1890s, so it's pretty old. And
She was a looker.
yeah. Far away from the eyes of management, getting stuck into the barrels, but they'd always have a sentry watching out if the boss was coming, and they'd whistle a little tune so they could disguise the evidence. And but you know, eventually the boss cottoned on to what was going on, and whistling or singing was prohibited. This is a barrel that contains stage 1 of our grandfather cellar. Now, if we were in the Barossa, I could take you to the Glimner vineyard, a very famous vineyard we've had since 1945. In the middle of that vineyard, there's an enormous green shed, which from the outside doesn't look like anything special, but you open up the big doors at the front and you walk in, and there are 16,000 barrels like this, all stacked up in pyramids, which we call stillage, where the barrels are stuck on top of one another, 5 high, and they're in rows. So we have a row going this way, barrels stacked 5 high, it's about 30 metres long, and then down the other side, we've got a barrel stacked 30 metres long. There's room to drive a truck down the middle, and we have about 50 metres width, so it's quite an impressive site. We have a team of cellar hands that are working there pretty much constantly. We have a cycle that's an annual cycle. So the wines that we use to make our fortifieds, we use 3 varietals, Shiraz, Grenache and Mataro. We fortify with what is effectively a fairly neutral brandy, grape-derived spirit. Not like brandy like a cognac with a golden hue, it's more of a clear spirit with a slight aniseed kind of taste that really traps the lovely fruit characters of the grape in.
Would this wine still be good?
Yeah, remarkably it is. I mean, Max's ambition at the time was to make a wine that would last for 20 years. In fact, he managed to supersede that by making a wine that could last 70 years. So, in fact, the 51 was never regarded as really the greatest Grange of the 1950s, but it was a very good start. Designed this to be a vessel to house an entire imperial 6-litre bottle of Grange. It's not a decanter, it actually holds the whole bottle inside of it, of wine for the glass, because one of the troubles with imperials is they're quite heavy, right? So they're really awkward to pour but this gives you a beautiful way of doing it in a theatrical way. We only made 5 of these for sale. They were $196,000 each, and they sold like that, just flew around.
Gnadenberg Church on a Sunday, it's their altar wine. So that's something that Henschke started to make back in the 1860s, and we continue to provide it to the church. And when we make our red wines just the next cellar up, so we'll pop up there and have a look in there. Plenty of photo opportunities up and seeing those wine bottles. This cellar was then built on in the 1950s. So 1950s is when Hill of Grace, Mount Edelstone were both born. Cyril Henschke, Stephen's father, was the first winemaker to create those wines and really helped to shape the Australian wine industry. So, you know, from the 1950s, big change in Australian winemaking. Those wines were made in here, in this style, and it's still where we make those wines. So for us, this tradition is really connected to the quality, to the style of our wines. It's not always the case with tradition though, so it's important to, you know, not be stuck in tradition, be respectful of tradition, but also happy to introduce some new technology and innovation along the way. That's something that Henschke's always been known for. But these open top fermenters, these are all wax lined. So every year they get scraped back, then they melt a wax, spray it on, use a blowtorch to burn it in so it creates a nice seal, because we don't want an interaction between the concrete or these wooden heavy downboards. These are all waxed as well. We don't want interaction between those and the wine. So what happens in here is that we'll sort the grapes. So they used to be hand sorted after they were hand picked. Now we have an optical sorter to help out as well. Then they get destemmed and then come in here. The adult children involved in the business as well, Johan, Justine and Andreas and their partners, all in different aspects. There's now 6 in that 7th generation and another one on its way, so they outdate the photos pretty quick these days. Cyril in the 4th generation, who I mentioned, was the one who first created Hill of Grace, Mount Edelstone. He was such a visionary, recognising that this Eden Valley region, being a little bit cooler, was really well suited to dry table wines.
In 2018 Hill of Grace. This is one of the most revered wines of Australia, South Australia. We're in the Eden Valley, made by Sue and Prue Henschke. This is the 2018, which celebrated their 150th anniversary of the vines. Planted so long ago and supplemented with some vines planted in the last 80 years. This is the most elegant example of Shiraz you'd ever want to see. Lovely integrated nose, savoury palate, fine, elegant, persistent, soft. This is not a full-blooded Shiraz. This is the absolute antithesis of beauty, finesse, superb finish, dances on your tongue, keeps going, lovely red fruits, subtle black olives, and deliciousness. Here's to Hill of Grace.
Walking out of Henchy, just a great experience all the way around. Wonderful.
Just to give a little bit of that background.
I've been a Master of Wine since 1991. We're standing in front of the property where Australia's first Master of Wine now resides, Michael Hill Smith, 1987, Peter Scudamore Smith, this bloke here, followed in 1991. Been around a while.
Little overcast today. We're going to try and give you a real nice experience here in the winery. We'll come inside and take a look. Looks like very contemporary look.
Nice to meet you. Yeah.
We're in the Adelaide Hills. We're at the winery of Shaw and Smith in Balhanna. I'm tasting single vineyard Chardonnay, Pinot and Shiraz. In my glass is the Chardonnay from 2022. This has grown 200 metres higher than the elevation where we're standing at the moment in a colder style vineyard called Lenswood. The wine is pretty funky, lovely linearity, lots of cashew, lots of green mint, grapefruit juice. Palate extremely elegant, very tightly bound, long and lean, lovely acidity, lovely finish. Great Chardonnay, long liver. Give it 10 years, but this is just a baby now. But lovely elegance. I highly recommend it. So we're tasting the third of the single vineyard Shaw and Smith 3 varietal Chardonnay, Pinot and Shiraz. This is Shiraz. A lot of people will call this Syrah, by the way. It's been suggested to me it's a lot of Kalamata olive in it. It's actually the olive bitterness, the black sweet bitterness, lots of toffee, lots of lovely sweetness. So whereabouts is this grown, Megan?
This is grown, well, it's actually just behind us. So behind the winery, we have a good bit of elevation. So the Shiraz kind of, it's in the best spot. It sits in the sun all day. As they say, Shiraz likes the view.
Shiraz likes the view, also likes the sun. This is dry grown, so there's no supplementary water. So it obviously, every vine balances differently and contributes to the intensity of the fruit of this wine. It's a really lovely drink, which I don't mind at 11 o'clock in the morning.
So in summation, Shaw and Smith has some fabulous wines, don't they?
Extremely. And they're more in the delicate, subtle, underline style rather than the big and blousy and fat.
Beautiful. Pretty nice spot, pretty hoity-toity area.
Action.
Launch!
Fino was established in 2006 in Wollonga, which is in the McLaren Vale GI. Warren was one of our regular customers. So when I saw Warren pull up, I would walk out there with a glass of generally Monthania sherry while he was having a phone call in his car. He did a lot of business there, but he was a wonderful guest. He invited us to be the destination restaurant for the redevelopment of Seppeltsfield Wine Estate. So that was in 2014. So yeah, we'll be 10 years old this year. Happy birthday to us.
I'm a restaurateur
Are you?
in California.
Great.
We have a couple of restaurants, and
Fantastic.
Lorna manages them for me. And meeting independent restaurant owners, restaurateurs that are in the hospitality business that have a passion for the restaurant
Absolutely.
is a lifestyle, and it's also, you get two kinds of income, I feel. You get the monetary, but you get the psychic income of meeting the people and the joy of serving people,
Yeah.
the serving their food. Would you do me a favor and take me back into the kitchen and like talk to your
Let's
co-owners?
go.
Let's go.
Team, meet Bob. Bob's a restaurateur from California.
How are you?
I'm great, how are you?
Excellent meal. You guys did an amazing job. I really loved it. How long you been in the restaurant business?
3 years?
3 years. So who's your mentor?
That guy.
This guy. How are you?
Good, mate.
Glad
How
to
you
meet you.
Nice
Just
to
a
meet you.
great team. You guys have done just an amazing job. I watched the production come out. The presentation's wonderful. Everything was timed wonderfully. You guys are pros.
Thank you.
We love you, Bobby.
I love you too. So yes, this is just a fabulous place. Making friends and kissing babies, baby. So we've just went inside the kitchen and visited with the staff at the Sip and Field restaurant. Absolutely fantastic group of people here in Australia, in the Barossa Valley. And invited them to come and visit us back in California, and might be possible. Peter, what did you think of your dinner today, or your lunch?
This is one of the most first-class places in the Barossa Valley to eat. It's called Fino. Very contemporary, great use of local produce. In fact, you can only buy the pork in the Barossa. Nobody outside the Barossa could even buy these pigs. So pretty special.
It was wonderful.
Taste your birth year. Taste your birth year. So you're going to come up to the barrel hall and taste your year of birth.
My year of birth,
Yes. From a 20 in barrel.
1954.
Okay. Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Yes,
Are
I
you
am ready.
Let's go. Yes.
You don't look like a day over 25.
No, I'm 40.
You're very well preserved.
Oh, that's very kind of you.
So this is my glass,
Yes. So what we'll do is we will which barrel and you.
1954.
All right. If you pop to your barrel, I will follow you. And we'll,
Pop to it.
if you head towards it.
So here we are,
Off you go, Lorna.
1954.
Okay, perfect. All right. So what we'll do is we'll take a sample for you.
Okay.
All right. Beautiful. Sorry. I will.
So can I pop the cork?
So you're welcome to take the bung out, and I'll do the rest.
Okay, so
So it's
twist it.
Yeah. So it's called a bung. B-U-N-G. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Perfect.
Nice smell. Smells like alcohol. Don't waste a lot on me. Just a little taste is good. (1954) Tony Port. Here we go. Oh my gosh, that is so good. Thank you so much.
Durable and a world-class collection that we have here. So the story with this, it's quite a special story. So Joseph Seppel passed away in 1868, and then in 1878, Benno then decided that he would honour his father and put down one 500 litre French oak barrel with tawny in it. And he said and declared and deemed that they wouldn't touch it for 100 years. And each vintage, obviously Great Depression, World War II, they still made the fortifieds and added a vintage tawny every year to the collection. So one 500 litre barrel. So we've got our master barrels and we've got the topping barrels, and I'll walk you through them all. And then he said we will release it after 100 years. So the first release was 1978, and that was the first year of the 100-year-old tawny in honour of Joseph Seppel.
1950 Sippelsfield tawny, vintage tawny, made from Grenache, Shiraz and Mataro. This is like a liqueur. This is so deep, this is so concentrated. It is essence, not tawny port, essence. Smell of licorice, toffee, boiled coffee, roasted nuts, almonds. Intense, intense, intense. To taste, it's slippery, it's high in alcohol, it's beautiful, good. And it's very dry from the high alcohol, but I'll taste this for the next 20 seconds. I can't get it out of my mouth, I just have to have some more. This probably pairs up with the 1950 year can, which I've got from my birth year. Fantastic.
Beautiful banquet hall. I love the way they have done the exposure of the brick and the concrete. Very nice.
On Mangler's Hill, which overlooks the Barossa Flats, you might say, the home of the great Shiraz of this country. Directly behind me is Tanunda, one of the two large towns in the area. Behind you, Bob, over the hill, is Angaston, and we're about to visit the Yalumba family at Angaston.
And what is the name of this winery, Peter?
Yalumba. Y-A-L.
Yalumba?
Y-A-L-U-M-B-A.
So yes, my story, I'm one of 3 siblings and we all actually work here at Yalumba. I'm the last one to come on board, but my brother works out the back in the production, so bottling production manager, and my sister works with export, so between us we kind of cover a lot of ground.
So you're the family of Yalumba?
Yeah, kind of, well, extended family I guess.
Extended family.
Yes. Come on in.
Oh, how fun.
So we're lucky enough to be one of the old wineries, one of about 6 I think in the world to actually have a working cooperage still connected to an actual winery on site. So yeah, it is a age-old art form of making these beautiful vessels to house and mature our wine. And yeah, so I'm going to talk you through the process of making a barrel if you haven't seen that. To back up what I explained to you, you can actually watch a little YouTube video as well of Yalumba and our previous head cooper Sean making the barrel.
And here we have the barrel maker's office. just walked through the Yalumba cooperage, which is one and only 6 wineries in the world that make their own barrels, and we've got a beautiful photo essay of that. Only one man works in that shop, and he has been apprenticed for years, and now he is the head cooper. It's a dying art, but as you will see, the shop is just amazing with all kinds of special equipment.
This is still the very much original private entrance, and this structure was completed in 1908. So Samuel Smith, our founder, back in 1847, when he travelled out here from Dorset in the UK with his son Sydney and his wife and three other daughters. And as I said, yeah, where the workings of the winery used to be is no longer. So it now houses our executive officers, different parts of the business.
And these signatures represent people that have made wine at Yalumba over the years, or?
Not necessarily making wine, no, just people that have really honoured the traditions and culture. They've embodied, what it is to be a part of Yalumba. So yeah, from all walks of life. So electricians, gardeners, and as I said, so Jane Ferrari was with us for a long time, kind of almost as our PR and spokesperson. A great storyteller. You can have whatever you like. Whatever you like.
Private tour here in their heritage cellar. That is their library or compendium of wines over the history of Yalumba. And as you can see, this is not involved on your regular tour of the winery. We are getting a special access to be able to see this cellar in its entirety. And what a special gift this is. The only reason we're here is because Peter, a master of wine, is respected by the family and have granted us access to this special library.
This is the first, not the first, but one of the first botrytis wines made in this country. This wine company now has an enormous history of Noble One, which is made in Griffith from Semillon, Noble One Semillon. Quite fantastic. You've been to Henschke, so we have not only Hill of Grace, but other Henschke wines of very high stature.
I might take that bottle, that's got my birth year on it.
Yeah. We have Western Australia, we have the Birch family who own Howard Park, again, members of the first families of wine.
When you think you've seen it all, and these are tanks, the separators, they basically have just broken them apart and made it a hallway. This private tour is a very amazing experience. And here we are back in the signatory room. And out into the beautifully manicured gardens. And Yalumba, unquestionably one of the most beautiful wineries in all of Australia, and they have a lot of them, but this one is absolutely iconic. I can't tell you how proud and happy I am to be able to share with you this experience of the Yalumba Winery. And now we're going to go in and taste their wines. This private tour has been something very special and was granted to us only because of Peter, the master of wine. If you do decide, however, to come to Australia with Redwood Cafe Tours, Yalumba will be one of your visits that you will definitely remember in the Barossa. It will be something that we can share with you, and you can taste the wines personally.
Our rare and fine collection, and I've actually bought our Menzies as well for you to have a taste of. So I experienced a lot of Viognier either prior to working here in Yalumba.
So oak matured.
Riesling, but it's just got such an interesting characteristic, like with the ginger and the spice, and then also the apricot nuts.
Yeah, ginger, spice, apricot, the hallmarks, the high marks of Viognier. This one is the signature wine of Yalumba Hillsmith family estates, Yalumba. Barrel aged. It's quite sexy. It really is. Slippery, juicy, easy, dry, flavourful, mid-weight, a total wine.
The visit at Yalumba has just been truly exceptional. We're getting ready to leave now, and if you're watching this video now, I'm imagining that this little vlog that I'm speaking about is you've watched the video and you have enjoyed it, and you've enjoyed the private tour that we were able to be given because of Peter and the Master of Wine. And as I stated earlier, if you do decide to visit Australia with Redwood Cafe Tours, Yalumba will be a definite highlight on that visit. So thank you for watching our video, and hopefully you can make a live experience out of this video, and it prompts you to make the journey to Australia.